What's the most common design mistakes you see that's killing conversions without people like even realizing it?
I mean, it depends on what you currently have. So if you have no brand and you've never really thought about it and you're just kind of putting out offers out really quickly, there is a time and a place for that. It's like what color helps the idea and the message and brings in the psychology of what you're trying to say best.
And aligning to the target market, to the audience that you're trying to serve as well. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
You studied the actual topic of design and you stayed in your lane the whole time as well. So we've got like years of focus here.
Yes, yeah, I have a lot of years of wasting time, but also doing good things as well. Really love learning why people do what they do and why they click on what they click and why they buy what they buy. And I think that that makes me just so much better of a designer and really intuitive designer.
What about high level originally grabbed your attention? Was there like something specific or a problem you were trying to solve?
Well, they reached out to us and they
Ah,
kind of wined and dined us. Honestly, yeah, the founders actually reached out to us and
Cathy, tell me something that's true that almost nobody agrees with you on.
okay, this is something that's true that I don't wish it was true. So I'm going to change the question a little bit because
Yeah,
I wish it
go
weren't
ahead.
true. I just did this talk a few weeks ago on this like big design summit, but was I wish that being unique and different was the thing that like sold really well, right? Like I wish it was the thing that people cared about, like that people bought uniqueness and but it's not.
Welcome to the High Level Experience podcast, proudly presented by HighLevel. Each week, we sit down with leaders from across the high level community to unpack their systems, stories, strategies, and breakthroughs. Whether you're scaling an agency, building a SaaS, or leveling up your automations, you're in the right place. Now, here's your host, a fellow high leveler, Vit Muller.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode on the High Level Experience podcast. Our guest today is a mermaid haired visionary who's been bending pixels and breaking industry rules for over 2 decades. She's designed for billion-dollar giants like Apple and Disney, and yet she's just as passionate about helping the underdog entrepreneur turn their first funnel into six-figure revenue machine. She's the creative force behind Final Gorgeous and FG Funnels, alongside her badass partner, Julie Channel. And together, they flip the script on what good marketing looks like. Something interesting? She's turned design into a conversion weapon. Not just something that looks pretty, but something that works harder than your sales team. She's made it her mission to close the design gap in digital marketing, teaching creators how to build trust, capture attention, and spark action before a single word is read. And today, she's here not just to drop some gorgeous knowledge bombs, but also to share her game-changing programs, Offer Cure at Offer Brand, and her legendary design and marketing training over at FG Society. So please welcome to the show, one and only, Cathy Olson.
Thanks for having me. That was great listening to you say that. I know there were probably a lot of words that you don't usually say, like gorgeous and pretty, and so I appreciate you being a good sport.
Yeah, I mean, English is my second language, so I always trying to slow down. Like, how do I exactly like say that so it hits the mark properly? People can understand. I'm glad you liked the intro. So, Cathy, before we get into conversion rates and funnel psychology, you posted earlier about touching grass and carving pumpkins. First of all, did you actually step away from the screen? And second, how important is unplugging for somebody whose brain is constantly firing on all things design and performance?
Oh, that's so funny. So, yes, I did actually. I actually only carved one pumpkin. I didn't get as far as I thought I would get before I needed to get back to work. You know, even the art of pumpkin carving is even, you know, you can get perfectionistic with that as well. So, I only got through one of them. But yeah, I do, especially when it is a creative task, I do need to switch my brain kind of like left brain, right brain, get some air, touch some grass, you know, just kind of look at things in nature. And it really does help. And I was actually going to head into designing a funnel after that. So I definitely needed the inspiration. So yeah, it worked. Yeah, only one pumpkin got done, but that's okay. It's okay to not be productive when you're just needing to get some fresh air and reset.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, because I mean, this is such a good reminder, even for myself. Like, I can often, I think on one of your stories, talk about like, I'm going into the next 5 hours, going to be working on some like deep work and nobody talk to me. I'm kind of same. Like, when I need to get something done, I need to kind of like those what they give to
Yeah, the
horses when they
blinders. Yeah.
the blinders, right? Like, that's kind of like what I need. Like, nobody bother me because I can't, I'm like, either I get really distracted, a million things, or like I need to be like this. I can't do in between. I don't know. Do you relate?
Yes, yeah. When I get into the zone, like if it's usually when doing something that I like to do. I don't usually get into the zone on something that I'm not wanting to work on, because I'm not excited about it. But when I get into the zone and I really feel like I'm doing like my genius work is when the time passes really quickly. I don't eat. I'm just like, just going like just straight into it. So yeah, I think it depends, but I don't get easily distracted when I'm in my genius zone.
I've read that you believe that design is like where the most funnels silently leak money, even
Yeah.
when like copy and traffic are solid. What's the most common design mistakes you see that's killing conversions without people like even realizing it, especially as agency owners?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. So I'm like, where do I even begin? I mean, it depends on what you currently have. So if you have no brand and you've never really thought about it and you're just kind of putting out offers out really quickly, there is a time and a place for that. I think that a lot of people put out offers kind of just to test them. And so they don't really want to spend too much time on thinking about the brand and the design. But at some point, as you want to build a legacy business that grows beyond you have to start thinking about the visuals and what your visuals are saying, because there's a lot of subconscious things going on before people even read a single word. And so you might be turning people off and people bouncing from a funnel or a page or an offer before they literally even read your messaging at all. So all that copy you worked really hard on and that offer that you worked so hard to create, they might not even get through it if it doesn't feel trustworthy, if something feels off. So again, us humans, our brains are always kind of scanning for danger, and we want to feel safe, especially when we're asking to put our credit card number in. And so I think that would probably be, in general, the biggest downs or the biggest mistake that people make is not thinking about that piece, the visual piece at all, and just only focusing on the offer and the copy, and just really not putting any, just like honestly, like black and white on a page, or maybe just like copying someone else's design that doesn't actually fit their business. Either one, both have that problem of like not paying attention to that, and it definitely causing conversion issues.
The key thing, I don't want to stay on this topic. This is really good. The key thing with this is like, where do you find the right balance where you over design things or spend way too much time versus getting something out there quickly that just kind of works. It's like, and there's different like thoughts, school of thoughts, right?
Yeah.
Like, some might be like, just get it out like a really simple squeeze page, landing page, black and white, for focus on your copy and get the offer out. And I'm hearing like that generally works. For me, I'm big on design. Like, anybody that knows my stuff, like what I do, like I'm very detail oriented like you. So I very much relate to what you like, your school of thought, like
Yeah.
making it pretty. But for the listeners, and also just, I'm a big believer that I'm not always right. Like, there's always more to learn. Yeah, like, where would you find like that sweet spot? Because I've had many guests on this show, and in general, like in the community, people talk about it. Is, the high level, as an example, is it's of a lot of us oftentimes like trying to make it really perfect, then it get before we get it out on the market. But
Yeah.
then like that can slow down things, and we know what's the most important thing in business is you have to have a cash flow, right? So anyway, I'm rambling on, but the question is,
No,
um,
I'm following
yeah,
totally. What's a sweet spot in between? Because you're right, absolutely. There is, I think one of the misnomers is that like over designing is good design, but that's not the truth either. Because you can definitely go too far. Just like you can go too far with copy, just like you can, price your offer too low, right? There's a point in which you're hurting yourself when with all the things, right? Or you're over promising and you're under delivering, right? There's always like a tipping point of too much and not enough. And you're absolutely right. That's one of the hardest things to even teach. As someone who teaches other people how to design, it's really hard to teach like to get that eye of like, okay, it's too much. Okay, it's not enough. So it is something that I think you get through repetition, through practicing, but also just training your eye and actually like starting to see good design. Once you start to it's kind of like anything, but once you start to get used to it, you start to see like what's working. That's like the biggest thing that I say is if you want to learn design, start just like being around design, looking at good design, like thinking about how all these multi-billion-dollar brands are designing things. Like, why have they done that? Start to think of and break down why a page looks like why would they put the button over here and why did they put this over there, and start to just think about the psychology between like and how they made those decisions. Super duper helpful. And that, but also of course learning more about and leaning into what your brand stands for, and learning into kind of how to translating that into pixels is really important. Just like even learning about what colors say what they say, like what are the feelings and the mood of a color, stuff like that. Or even fonts, right? Learning about fonts and like which fonts are angry and which fonts are happy, and stuff like that. So like the skill of it, that's where that side is. But you're absolutely right that you can over design it. And that's actually one of the things that hurts us the most as a company who focuses on design. Sometimes we get it wrong and we over design things. And we've had to go back when we see conversion rates dip and go, okay, what's the problem? Is it the copy? Is it the headline? Is it the design? And there has been times when it's been the design is just, I've just gotten too out of the like comfort zone of people, and things have gotten confusing. And so we have case studies of where pulling back the design increased the conversion rate, doubled the conversion rate on our own funnels. So it's definitely, we've seen it work both ways. We've seen it where we've under designed something and we need to like add a little bit more design in, and then where we have over designed things and have had to pull things back. But the number one thing that I want to kind of clear the air on is like design isn't just pretty, it's functional. So for me, it's all about functionality. So it could be super cool and fancy and shiny and sparkly and whatever, but if you can't read it or people can't see it, or it doesn't make sense, then it's ineffective and it's no longer good to me. It's not, it doesn't matter if it's gorgeous, if it's not making money, if it's not converting, right? And so for
Yeah.
me, I look at design. Good design to me is something where people, it connects the message to the visuals and people can understand it better. So most important is understandability and people understanding it and connecting with the message. So again, it's not like about this is the right color, that's the wrong color. It's like what color helps the idea and the message and brings in the psychology of what you're trying to say best. Does that make sense?
And aligning to the target market, to the audience that you're trying to serve as well.
Exactly. Yeah. It's all
Like
about
there, like
them. It's all about them. It's like all about their psychology. So when I'm saying psychology, I don't mean the way that you want them to think. We're literally living in their head, and you're trying to see how they're perceiving everything that you put on a page or, or on social or anything, right? Right. Like it's all about the perception, just like social media, right? This is the whole reason why you have the 5-second hook to hook them in, because they're never going to get past it. It doesn't matter what you have to say in the end. If they don't get past that hook and they don't stay, then it really doesn't matter. It's not about you and your offer. It's not about what you want to show. It's about the person who's receiving the message and how can we, best speak to them.
Yeah. Now, I want to pause you for a second before we dive deeper into this, because I've got a lot of follow-up questions for you.
Sure.
But now I just want to like highlight for you guys listening. You want to probably get notepad ready for this one, because Cathy and her business partner and what they've been able to achieve with Funnel Gorgeous, they're one of the top SaaSpreneurs. They got a lot of back like working with back and click funnels, and we can unpack that too. I'll probably ask you about that. But
Sure.
Cathy's not just talking about this to you guys about like from her experience, like running these businesses. She's actually studied this. So Cathy, it's back to you. So like you've got actually like, I don't know, like 20 years experience. Like when did you study at California University? You studied the actual topic of design and you stayed in your lane the whole time as well. So we've got like years of focus here.
Yes, yeah, I have a lot of years of wasting time, but also doing good things as well. So it's like, it's a windy road. But and it's funny that it's like if I were to have looked back, I do have a degree in design, and so if I were to look back then, I would have no idea that I'd be doing this now, because number one, it didn't exist, but also like I've pivoted so many times, and I didn't go to school for marketing, I didn't go to school for sales, so I definitely come to the table from a designer standpoint, like classically trained, which most people aren't. And as a web designer also, so like interactive and stuff like that. So that's the stuff I went to school for. But the sales and psychology stuff was totally learned. But I think I really loved learning about it. And I really love learning why people do what they do and why they click on what they click and why they buy what they buy. And I think that that makes me just so much better of a designer and really intuitive designer, because again, it's not about me. Like if I design something I think's really pretty, it's not going on a wall somewhere. It's not art. It's meant to be functional. And so if it's not functional, then who cares what I design? Who cares if it looks good? Like there's no feelings attached to it. It's just about the conversion. Oh, I missed the mark. The message didn't get to the person. It was confusing. It didn't make sense. So how can I make the visuals make sense? And so I've just done it intuitively, but this is what we teach, because people ask us like, why, when you put out an offer, why does it sell so well? Why are your conversion rates is double? And I'm like, it's because we're thinking about it from their perspective, because we're like designing from the inside out and thinking about how it's being perceived along the way. And even just, so let me give like a tangible example, because this might sound like I'm totally talking theory and stuff. So a tangible example would be if you have a button and it looks cool and like but it's like hidden and people don't know where the button is and they're kind of scrolling around and they're sort of missing it just because you've made it kind of cool and like you've put it in this little spot where you think it's a cool spot. But if it's not easy to find, then it's ineffective, right? And they're not actually going to click and they're going to get frustrated and leave. Or it could even be something as simple as like if you have a bonus in your offer and showing it like physically, like if it's like it's a downloaded book or something, and showing a physical representation of what it looks like, that someone can see that mock-up quicker than they are going to read, okay, you get an audiobook with it or whatever, right? Like they're going to see the visuals faster, or using things like arrows or like underlining or using bold in certain areas or making things bigger and smaller. This helps with comprehension. So that's kind of what I'm talking about when I'm talking about like psychology. I'm like, what are they going to read first? What are they going to read next? And so those are the type of things that I've studied really deeply, because I want to get better at this, but I want to get better at connecting the message that we're creating with the people who are
Yeah.
being inundated with lots of information.
I've heard this really cool analogy of that, and this is what so many small business owners do wrong, right? They start a business website, they launch their business website, they put it together, and they just make it like about us. Here's our services. He is our product. Buy our shit.
Yeah.
And there's nothing talking to the audience. So I heard a while, I can't remember who said that, but it was basically the analogy of like if you go to a theater to watch a performance, then it's totally logical for the reflectors to be pointed at the stage onto the performer, right? So it's
Right.
all about them, and you're there to enjoy it. But for some reason, businesses like to create their websites the same way, like put the reflectors onto them. And then all you actually need to do is actually turn the reflectors onto the audience so that it speaks to them. It's like highlighting them. It's like, hey, I know your world. Hey, I know your pain. Hey, I know I've been there. I've done that. Like all those, it's about relatedness, right?
Yeah.
So I really like that analogy because it just hits home every time. And it's kind of really just, that should be driving every piece of marketing, I think.
Yeah, I mean it's a little bit different, like with like high end luxury brands or something, right? Like they don't have to do all of this stuff because they become known for their quality or whatever, or they sell out or stuff like that. But that's not the way that these offers work. Like digital marketing, digital offers don't work that way, and they're
Mm.
very much like interruption marketing. People are not searching you out, so they're just going about their day and they're getting interrupted with ads or emails or whatever or social media, and they're like, weren't looking for you. So it's like if you just present yourself and you say, look, I'm really cool, you should check me out, like they have no reason to check you out. They're busy, they've got lives going on, right? So it's a much different way to market, and I think it's really hard. But I don't blame people for wanting to like do it that way, or even just to naturally think that way of like, oh, I need to show my authority, I need to show what I've done, I need to show what the offer is, what do I do, what do I create. Like a lot of times people will in their offers will tell you what the process is, and I'm like, they don't care what your process is, like, because they don't care yet. Like, they don't know how you're going to help them. So they don't want to know your step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like, they literally don't care because they're not connected to your offer yet. Whereas, again, like you were saying, if you're talking about them and you're catching them in the moment of like where they have a problem and they want to solve it, now they're listening. Now they're understanding that you can help them, and they're going to take the time. But again, I don't think it's people's intention to just talk about themselves or be looking at it from that perspective. I just think it's not normal to us to think from someone else's shoes. Like, I actually have to tell some of the students that we have in our courses, I'm like, I want you to close your eyes and like put yourself in their shoes and then look at you. And like, I want you to understand, what would you need to hear right now in order to hear this message? Imagine yourself, you're frustrated, you're tired, you're losing money every day. What are you actually thinking of? And like, and it takes that reversal and being in their shoes that finally makes them see the solution from their perspective. But it's definitely hard, and I get why people struggle with it.
Yeah, this is where, I mean, the concept of a funnel and understanding that buyer journey, and that understanding that not everybody is in decision stage to buy. They might be in considering, but most likely they're going to be like in unaware/aware of a problem, and they're just seeking information about how to solve that problem, not specifically a service or product, right?
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Like, even with branding, with copy, with offer, the awareness stages are like one of the biggest things that we think about. And you have to choose. I guess you can get them further down, but it's a big decision that we have to make when we have an offer, when we're creating an offer. We do have to think about, is this for a cold audience? Is this for a warm audience? Like, and it informs everything we do, not just, the name. I mean, down to the name, the colors, everything we put on the page. It all is about the whole marketing argument. It's about the awareness stage. So awareness stage is like really, really important for us.
You may not realize this, but for the last 2 years, I've had a secret weapon that has made running my business inside of HighLevel so much easier. You see, there is so much that HighLevel can do, which is amazing, but it's a lot of work to stay up to date with it. And even more so if my customers are asking me questions about it. And this is why I'm excited to announce that our show is officially part of the HLPT Creator Network. This is HighLevel Pro Tools, an organization that I've been using to run support for my customers, as well as give me a ton of awesome epic add-ons that make running, launching, and differentiating my SaaS inside of HighLevel so much easier. And now that they're an official sponsor of the show, they've done something pretty bloody awesome. If you go to hlpt.com/experience, you can get one of their incredible tools absolutely for free. No purchase necessary, just for being a listener on the show. So head over to hlpt.com/experience, grab that free tool, and I promise you this is going to improve the conversion rates on your page. Check out all the other stuff that they offer and tell them that Pete sent you.
You know what's wild? There's a smarter way to grow your agency and help more local businesses without adding more stress. That's what HighLevel does. It's your all-in-one sales, marketing, automation, and AI system. No more duct taping tools together or paying for 20 different subscriptions that barely talk to each other. I've been using it for 5 years with my own white-level version, stand out from the pack, helping Aussie businesses like Dimitri, a Canberra electrician, who now runs his jobs, quotes, calls, and follow-ups with our built-in AI employee. If you're an agency, HighLevel lets you do exactly that. Support your clients in new ways while building stable, recurring revenue every month. And if you're a local business, partner up with somebody who knows your market and your industry. If you're in Tasmania, my mate Jared from Boulder Digital, for example, has you covered. If you're in Canberra, that's my turf. Check out standoutfromthepack.com.au and we'll get you sorted. The point is, there's probably a high-level agency or SaaSpreneur near you. We're seasoned marketers, tech-savvy super nerds who love helping local businesses grow. We're global, we're connected, we're high-levelers. Now, I've got something really special for you guys. I've negotiated an exclusive 30-day HighLevel trial that's double the usual just for you. Sign up your agency through gohighlevel.com/vid or upgrade your existing plan, and I'll hook you up with over $3,200 worth of bonuses, resources, templates, and snapshots I normally give to my private clients only. So whether you're scaling an agency or leveling up your business, start with the right system. Go highlevel.com/vid or team up with your local SaaSpreneur and let's make business simple again. One platform, one login, no duct tape, just results.
Yeah. So tofu, mofu, bofu. Let's unpack that. Where would you say like a good offers fit in for the guys listening, so they kind of get the point? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, here, top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel, it kind of works with what we just talking about: awareness, consideration, decision. So, do you have some like examples of where would a good like offer fit to what stage of the funnel?
Well, it depends on, yeah, if you have offers already. So like
Let
ideally you
let's
have a full ecosystem. But are you saying like in the beginning, like your very first offer?
let's do a bit of a like an example. So let's go
Okay.
back to the beginning. We talked about you going out carving pumpkins, right? So let's say you got a family here. Halloween is around the corner. They don't have time for that stuff, but they also don't just want to buy those plastic ones. They want to surprise the kids. So their problem is like, hey, I need pumpkins carved out. Help me. How do we create a funnel for that? Let's say that's the core offer. Like, hey, we'll sell you a pack of carved out pumpkins. How do we? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, you're already telling me that the person is like basically high-end luxury, really at the same. I guess it could be either way. So if you're saying it's a service where they drop their pumpkins off and I carve them for them, then I would assume that they have enough money to pay for someone else to carve pumpkins, right? And now we're talking about they're highly aware of what they're needing and they're willing to pay like a chunk of change in order to solve that problem because they want it done well and they want it done fast. So again, I'm not thinking about what do I do and how could I carve a pumpkin that is cool? And like, I'm immediately thinking about their need. I'm like, this is the person who is short on time. They want something to look really cool. They want their porch to look amazing. And they want, people taking pictures of their pumpkins. And so I am immediately thinking of what they want, right? Like immediately. I don't think about anything about what I'm going to create or what I want to create. Does that make sense?
Like what are all the different motivational triggers, right? Like,
Yeah.
so you said the one like people want to like show off because like they want to look better than the neighbor. It
Yeah.
could also be that they just want to have like a pumpkin that's got a little candle in there, or it lights up or talks, so the kids can like have a bit of fun with that. Now,
Yeah, so
okay,
again,
so if
so I could see even that offer could be multiple like offers. Like if you're saying they're already carved and they're just picking them, then it's like not a custom offer anymore. And then I could see it's a lower price point, and that's a different audience as well. And what are they looking for? They're not looking for totally custom. They're not looking to look different. They just want to have something that's done and fun and like easy and simple. And they're looking for the convenience factor, not the wow factor. So again, it's like thinking about what their ultimate goal is and what they're looking for.
what's your perspective on this one? So like, say if we're gonna be like, we know we are good, we can do these pumpkins, we want to sell them. We don't really want to we want to sell them to us because that's the solution. But then you got people in the middle that we don't know if they're ready to buy that. We don't know if they're in that like if they have a budget. Let's say if we did like a video or some sort of a content, like, hey, positioning content, positioning the expertise, making a video of like, hey, here's how you carve a pumpkin. What's your thought on that as a strategy? Because some might say, oh no, don't show them that because then they're gonna do it themselves. They wouldn't need you. But then I would say to that is like, what you're doing is you kind of hitting two marks. Like if somebody wasn't going to buy those pumpkins anyway just because of the budget, well, at least now you've helped them out. And then they might know somebody who doesn't want to do it, but they now know about you, so they're going to send it over your way.
Yeah, I think it's all about, it's almost like offer container, right? Of like what we're thinking of, what we would want to charge, how would we want to work with people? Because any kind of offer, anything, any kind of service, you could, like we always say, like, what would you do if you have like a topic you want to teach about? Let's say it's carving pumpkins, right? Well, what would you teach if you were on a stage and you had 30 minutes to tell everybody what they need to know about carving a pumpkin? Well, that would be your presentation. Here's what I would include, right? And that's me, as many people as possible in a very short amount of time. Here's what I would do, all the way down to like, okay, now we're in a room of people and we all have our tools and we're all cutting together. And I like, what would I teach in that scenario? Versus like, okay, I'm sitting one to one. I go to their house. I look around. I'm like sketching. I'm taking pictures of everything in their house and like trying to figure out this masterpiece we're going to create together and whatever. Right. So like, it's the same skill. It's the same idea, but done in so many different containers. So like,
Yeah.
again, I would be like thinking about that of like, if I was doing a video, I would be thinking about, okay, am I just trying to sell the video, or am I trying to sell some service that I have, like a backup funnel, right? Like am I still selling the pumpkins at the end? And I think that would inform the type of content I would make. Because again, if I'm selling the product, if I'm selling the video, then I would give it all away, of course. And I would still do, like, teasers and stuff like that with social and ads and all that as well. But it would be a totally different product versus if my end goal was actually to get them to order pumpkins, then I would try to make it look as probably complicated as possible. Or I would just, highlight what makes my pumpkin high quality. Like, why would you want to buy it from me versus just do it yourself? Like, and actually going through
Yeah.
what the benefits and the features are of me doing it for you versus you buying. So it just, yeah, again, it kind of depends. It depends, but you can choose. Like, that's what I love about digital marketing, is that
Yeah.
you choose one thing and there's so many different ways to sell it, but you do have to focus. Because again, if I created a video that I'm trying to sell and I'm trying to get them to buy the pumpkin, then it's going to be all muddy and messy and no one knows what to do. So you have to decide. So, like, there's lots of choices, but you do have to make a decision, because it can't be one thing for everybody. You got to do separate offers.
You may not realize this, but for the last 2 years, I've had a secret weapon that has made running my business inside of HighLevel so much easier. You see, there is so much that HighLevel can do, which is amazing, but it's a lot of work to stay up to date with it. And even more so if my customers are asking me questions about it. And this is why I'm excited to announce that our show is officially part of the HLPT Creator Network. This is HighLevel Pro Tools, an organization that I've been using to run support for my customers, as well as give me a ton of awesome epic add-ons that make running, launching, and differentiating my SaaS inside of HighLevel so much easier. And now that they're an official sponsor of the show, they've done something pretty bloody awesome. If you go to hlpt.com/experience, you can get one of their incredible tools absolutely for free. No purchase necessary, just for being a listener on the show. So head over to hlpt.com/experience, grab that free tool, and I promise you this is going to improve the conversion rates on your page. Check out all the other stuff that they offer and tell them that Pete sent you.
You know what's wild? There's a smarter way to grow your agency and help more local businesses without adding more stress. That's what HighLevel does. It's your all-in-one sales, marketing, automation, and AI system. No more duct taping tools together or paying for 20 different subscriptions that barely talk to each other. I've been using it for 5 years with my own white-level version, Stand Out from the Pack, helping Aussie businesses like Dimitri, a Canberra electrician, who now runs his jobs, quotes, calls, and follow-ups with our built-in AI employee. If you're an agency, HighLevel lets you do exactly that. Support your clients in new ways while building stable, recurring revenue every month. And if you're a local business, partner up with somebody who knows your market and your industry. If you're in Tasmania, my mate Jared from Boulder Digital, for example, has you covered. If you're in Canberra, that's my turf. Check out standoutfromthepack.com.au and we'll get you sorted. The point is, there's probably a high-level agency or SaaSpreneur near you. We're seasoned marketers, tech-savvy super nerds who love helping local businesses grow. We're global, we're connected, we're high-levelers. Now, I've got something really special for you guys. I've negotiated an exclusive 30-day HighLevel trial that's double the usual just for you. Sign up your agency through gohighlevel.com/vid or upgrade your existing plan, and I'll hook you up with over $3,200 worth of bonuses, resources, templates, and snapshots I normally give to my private clients only. So whether you're scaling an agency or leveling up your business, start with the right system. gohighlevel.com/vid or team up with your local SaaSpreneur and let's make business simple again. One platform, one login, no duct tape, just results.
Yeah. There's also the top of the funnel, and that's like the area that I kind of like enjoy, where like, what about those that are not aware, they're not even looking for it? How would you position that, right? As opposed to like, and you mentioned at the beginning, like not always talking about the process. I'm thinking maybe like you could have a content all about the childhood memories, like you remembering when you were a kid, celebrating Halloween with your family, there were pumpkins and all that, and then talking to those parents through social media and saying, hey, do you want to get them to go back in those memories for themselves, and then bringing it back to the now and say, okay, well, you've got kids, wouldn't you want them to have those cool memories as well? Like, and then you can like, go into like different detail of it and then bring it then to the into the offer, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's kind of usually what people say is that the higher you go up in the awareness ladder, meaning more people, right? Like the more general people, the less aware they are, the harder it is to market because you have to get them all the way down through they weren't like to all the way to where they know your product, right? So it is the hardest type of marketing, but there's the most amount of people. So again, you kind of choose your heart, I think, if a little bit, because you are going to have to unearth a need that they didn't already have. So you are going to have to work harder because they're further away from the sale, I guess is kind of what is like sort of what you're saying, right? And so you have to make them want to carve a pumpkin. Whereas, of course, further down, it's going to be a lot easier if they're actually looking for a solution and they already want pre-carved pumpkins and they're actually, I mean, you don't have to convince them of anything and there's like barely any marketing you have to do, but there's less people. So you got to find them. So it's all about targeting at that point. So really, like, yeah, it depends, but I don't usually suggest like barely like problem aware. I don't usually suggest that for beginners because there's a lot of marketing you got to do. You got to have a really good argument. You got to teach them. Yeah, there's a lot more. There's like maybe more email sequences you got to take them through, but it is the biggest chunk of people. So it's just something that you got to think about.
Yeah, I don't know, for some reason I kind of gravitate to that because I like the challenge.
Yeah, you obviously love marketing, so it's something I do too, and I think it's fun, and I think it's interesting, and we have a really good mix. But I do think, yeah, you're totally thinking about it the right way. Is not if they are unaware, you have to tell a story. I think is really the best way. If they're unaware, they even have a problem. And they're way up there, you get them through storytelling. And this is what content creators, YouTubers, like people who are famous on socials, this is what they're really good at. They're good. And this is why they have such a big following, because they have a really big group of people they're talking to and they can appeal to people just by telling a really cool story. Like you were saying, like you could start off by telling this nostalgic story about how you used to carve pumpkins and how fun it was. But then now as a parent, you've missed out because you always forget to go get the pumpkins until the last minute, and then they're messy, and then you don't really have the time. Or you could just tell this whole story. And so I think, yeah, I think people who are really good at storytelling are gonna just crush that whole. Well, they do crush it because
Yeah,
that's how you get someone into your world is you hook them in by telling them a story.
even on before even talking about carving could just be like getting them hooked on the idea of creating a memory,
Right,
creating a childhood memory for their kid now.
right.
Like that's what you're kind of selling, and then yeah, this is really cool.
Yeah, hooking them into the emotion of it and nostalgia. I mean, that usually wins every time. For sure.
So pumpkins aside, let's go back to the funnel. Some like really core principles to drive home for people listening. I think like one being like importance of contrast these
Mhm.
days, and not just because it's more readable, but also because you have to now. There's a law around it. What would be some other like really like a specific strat principles with the design stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, one of the things is the hierarchy of like how you present your information. And so I think a lot of times people either treat almost everything equal importance and then just like big paragraphs kind of as you're going down, or they kind of split it up too much to where it's not even really read. I don't even know if people actually read their own stuff sometimes. Like I have like sometimes I look at sales pages, I'm like, did you actually read this like as if it was fresh? Because sometimes like things are going in different directions and I'm like I'm so confused at what I'm supposed to be looking at and I'm not following the story. And so the it's kind of like the cadence and the speed in which things are understood and read and as you're going through and emphasizing things that it's almost like an intro to a section. So for me, the way that I design sales pages is it's almost like a book where I have a chapter, almost like a heading. And then when I'm switching gears into talking about something else or a new piece, then I have another heading, stuff like that. I think it's really important to study and take a look at of what the greats do because they have a way of almost pausing thoughts and then switching gears so people can follow along. Because yeah, again, if you just have it all in a paragraph, it's really, really hard for our brains to understand what's important and what's not important if you're not using visuals and sizing. So I guess I'm saying like scale really is a big deal, and also pacing and having times of pause and having white space to like start the next thought and kind of have like sections.
It's like literally like listening to a podcast and somebody making an emphasis on something and they pause. So that white
Absolutely.
space between the text is kind of the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
another follow up on that is like using sections and then maybe a slightly different design or background color of that section to kind of divide that. But like, how do you then make it so that it kind of still follows on one thing rather than having like a homepage with a bunch of sections that don't really correlate to each other? Like, and then people look at it like, I've done pages like that, and the people looked at it like, I don't know, like it's there's a lot. They say there's a lot.
I mean, I do that kind of. I sort of design from the top down, but the way that we do it is Julie writes our copy, and so she does the most of the offer. She does the copy, and I do all the visuals. I name our offers, and I figure out like what's the feel and the look, the visual look. But she's like much more on the strategy side, and so she'll basically give me a Google Doc, and she'll start to kind of break it up as like in the Google Doc, like where she's writing it. She'll start giving things headlines and italicizing and bolding. So she gives me a little bit of a hint of like where she's going, but sometimes I will change it. If something doesn't really make sense or if it needs to be split out more, I'll take it to the next level. And so I'll block it in from top to bottom as I go so it makes sense. But then when I look back at it, I start to zoom out, like literally physically zooming out to see if it's balanced from top to bottom. So, because sometimes I'll like put a bunch of color at the top, and then all of a sudden in the middle, it's like a bunch of white, and then it's just not really like well balanced across it. So sometimes I will actually zoom out of my browser and see how well it's balanced from a bigger perspective. And I think that does make a difference as people are going, and it kind of feels fresh and something that it doesn't, you don't start to get like lost in a sea of sameness and get kind of confused. So I think that's one thing that I do that's a little different than other people do. I do like to break things up visually. Like it's kind of the idea of what you were saying about contrast, but you can't have too much. Everything can't stand out the same, So like sometimes when some things will be more subtle and then there'll be a spot where they really need to get it, then I'll add like some patterns in or some arrows or like some images or something like to give it that visual weight so that it makes it stands out. Because the other thing is I'm thinking there's a lot of different ways people look at sales pages or buy, right? So some people are the detail people and they will read it all the way from the top all the way to the bottom. Like they just go all the way through. I don't think that's most people. I think most people are kind of a mix. There's other people who will just buy straight up from the top. They won't even really get past it. They're like the warm audience. They're like, you had me at hello, hit the button. I just want to buy it. And so if you don't have a button at the top, they get frustrated because they're fast action takers and so that's another type that you need to think about. But the majority of people are skimmers. So they're going to look and kind of skim until they see something that they were looking for or that they're interested in or they want to know more about, and then they're going to stop. So if you don't have almost these chapters as you're going down a sales page, then the skimmers are not going to know where to go or where to stop, and they're not going to understand it. Like they need to like a high level understanding, not no pun intended, but they need like a a skimmable version. So they should be able to skim over it and kind of understand what you're selling within a few seconds, like not even a minute, right? And so that's you're like designing for that as well, because that's the majority of people are going to be like, scanning and saying, is this for me? Okay, it is. Then I'm going to go in deeper. So thinking about all those things are really, really important. And so as I'm designing it, I'm thinking, okay, does that fast action person, are they able to take action really quickly? Is the detail person, is there any mistakes? I mean, that's usually the last level, right? Have I covered everything? Is everything in here? Are there any mistakes or issues or typos they're going to find? Because they always find them. And then but mostly I'm thinking about, if I were to skim this really quickly, am I going to be able to understand what this offer is?
Yeah, it's almost like going back to like you got your big funnel and then like you're driving traffic to your website, then to go on a particular page. But it's almost like that page itself, if you're breaking it down into different, like you said, different topics, it's almost like each of those sections, it's all like a mini funnel where like the headline is like to get them hooked and then want to read more. And then if that doesn't relate, then then you've got another section,
Yeah.
right? I've got a question. Okay, this is an interesting one. So like funnels, I like funnels because funnels like a one specific purpose in trying to lead them to take an action. So like the whole thing is just one thing. However, when it comes to landing page, like homepage, like the main homepage, the main domain, I've always been like bit torn on that idea. How do I do it right? Because on your homepage, you're trying to showcase a couple of different things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's the right approach or not, but what's your thought on good, like what a good homepage should look like in terms
Yeah.
of different offers? And like, is it a good thing to have different sections for different things you do, or what's the best approach there? Because
Yeah, I mean, I would think of it like I'm designing anything of like, what's the intent of the person who's coming here? What do they want to know? And so I would just make sure that that your homepage has like an off ramp to wherever you want them to go. So do they want to book you to speak at their event, right? Do you have a speaking page for them to go to? Do they want to know how they can work with you one to one? Where there's your services page. Do they want to know like the courses you offer? Then there's your course page. But so really it's just thinking about it in a utilitarian way, because you're not selling them anything on that page. Your only goal on that page is to get them to where they want to go. Do they want to check out your content and read and watch your podcast? Like, where are they wanting to go, and are you allowing for all of those off ramps to wherever they need to go? And obviously, like in a bigger sense of what does this person do, what is their specialty, you do want to tell them that, and have any testimonials or like social proof, just authority building pieces, like have you been written for Forbes or whatever, right? There's all that stuff as well. So really that's all I'm looking for in a homepage, is just to kind of anchor your authority, who you are, and starting to create kind of your voice, but then getting them to where they want to go. That's really like the only job I think, or that's how you do a good job with the homepage.
so I've got an idea. Should we do like a dissection of a homepage? Like if I share a screen
Sure.
and see what you think.
Sure.
I'm gonna use my SaaS homepage.
Okay.
So this could, and I'm open
I've
to
never
any
looked at it
feedback.
before, so this will be like my first time looking at it.
Okay, all right. Let's do that. So
And
I'll
there's
share my
sometimes
screen
I
now.
look at stuff and I really don't have much, so it's just, yeah, we'll see.
All right. So here we go. And you let me know, and I'll scroll down when you're ready.
Okay.
So that's the above the fold
Okay, well, first
homepage.
of all, I want you to make me understand who's looking at this. So like I don't want to look at it from my perspective. I want to look at it from the perspective of the person that's going to book you, hire you, whatever. So paint me a picture of who I am so I can be like a method actor and be looking at this from their perspective.
Yeah. So our target market, small business owners who we're a little bit broad. I'm kind of similar to like Charles, where we kind of more focus on SaaS. So I don't have a specific niche. It's more about like, wow, this is going to be interesting. Yeah. So for me, who I really enjoy working with, it's small to medium sized businesses, 5 to 15 employees that want to learn this stuff, want to implement, don't necessarily want to depend on an agency for everything. So more educational based as a business. They pay for subscription, but then they come to our weekly workshops and they learn. So
Okay.
this is what I'm saying. Now, is the page doing that justice? I don't know. Probably not, but anyway, let's go.
Well,
Is
this
that
is
enough for you?
it's a good exercise, right? Because then again, you can think about it from their perspective and say, okay, so if I am that person, does capture, nurture, and close more leads with our all-in-one AI-powered CRM platform? Does that speak to what I'm looking for?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. That's the question, right?
See, like, because again, it's if with me looking at it, it doesn't matter me looking at it, right? I could tell you color wise, whatever, but if we're speaking functionally, we got to look at it from
Yeah,
their perspective. Like, what do they want to know right away? What are they looking for? Like, what are they looking for help with? What are their pain points? What do they want to hear? What would you say on a sales call? Would you say that on a sales call? Like,
I don't.
would you
Yeah, I
say
don't do
what
sales
it says
calls.
here if you were speaking to that person directly? Probably not, right?
I no, I'll try to speak to them and find out a bit more about their business, and then relate
Right.
to what they're trying to do, rather than talk about this, because this doesn't really hit the mark. I've tried it and it doesn't. People don't understand that stuff. It's
Okay.
like, oh, I still don't get it what you do. So many things.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe we could do two parts. Like we do, I could scroll down and you could just look at it purely on design wise,
hmm
and then the function. So I'll scroll
Well,
down.
first of
Let me know what.
all, let me
Yep.
right at the top.
Okay. Okay.
I
Yep.
would say there's a lot going on in the top section. So you have a lot of links, which I get it because it's like a homepage, so you are going to have it like a hub, but there's a lot to choose from. So I don't know if there's a way for like it to be nested underneath each other, like a lot, like less links on the top. I think there's a
Like
lot
a
going
mega
on.
menu?
Yes, yeah, because I mean, and it's not like, again, I'm like totally picking, and this is not necessarily, and I would test everything too. So don't go and change everything. Do split testing because I'm this is just my gut instinct. There's a lot going on at the top, and I'm not sure. Do I want to watch a demo? Am I gonna click into this? Do I need to chat? I don't even know if I need to chat yet. I'm like, right, like I don't really know where I want to go yet. So that section, I was like, maybe on the homepage it could be like a little bit less because we're not sure where we need to go yet. You could almost diagnose where they do need to go within like in here. Hey, are you already sure you know what you need and you just want a demo to make sure that this is going to do what you want to do? Check out our demo. And I haven't looked at the rest of it, but you know what I mean? Just starting to think about that. The book a free discovery session and get started today, they're a little small. They're like the actual writing is a little small. So I would push it up a little bit, but also I would think about that again. I don't know which one to choose. Do I want to book a free discovery session? What's in that for me? Like, how do I know if I need a discovery session, right? Like, so there's some questions there. Although I know the get started today, you have that as like the person who's already ready to go. So that's good to have
Yeah.
that. But I might even say, not sure what you need, book a discovery session. Already ready, already love us and ready to get started with a trial, like click here, right? So like you're almost giving them like a little bit of information first and then hitting the
Hmm.
button. So now they know what to choose, right? So they're not like, you're almost like telling them, if you need this, click this. If you need this, click this. So a little bit like more direction, I think would be helpful in actually getting more people to click it.
Yeah, no, I love it. Yeah, no, that's definitely. Yeah, I mean, I want it to have that there because it's like if somebody is visiting us and they're kind of ready to buy, like let's make it easy. Let's
Yeah.
make it above the fold.
But even just say that, like just say, ready to dive right in. Don't want to waste any time. Let's get started and start a 14-day trial and try it yourself, right? So like you're actually
Yeah,
giving them a reason to choose. Like you're helping them make the decision on what to click faster so that they take the action faster.
right. So kind of like what I've got down at the bottom here, like ready to transform, and then a button.
Yeah, you don't have to have it that as big up there because you're gonna have two of them. But yeah, exactly. Like you're telling them why they're gonna click it and what that button's kind of gonna do and what to expect. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
I
because
think
like
you'll
we
get a
like
lot more action on the buttons if you tell people what they're gonna do next, because people are like weird about even clicking buttons, And so if you tell someone what a button's gonna do, like for example, if it is booking a call, just be like, not sure what you need, book a discovery call, right? So like they're understanding what they're doing by pushing the button. Does that make sense?
yeah. So guiding that website
Yeah,
visitors
so actually you
journey
did a
more
great job of it
naturally.
here. So when you say want to see it in action, request a live demo. That's exactly what I was actually just talking about. So like you're
Right.
showing it, but they're like, "Oh, I can't really see it. I don't know what does it actually look like when you're in there?" And then you say, "Well, sure. Do you want it?" You're almost like thinking about what they're thinking as they're looking at it. So I'm watching it and I'm going, "Yeah, I can't really see that. That's kind of small, but really what does this do?" And then you're like, "Hey, are you wondering what this does and you want to see it in action? Click here and get a live demo." So you're actually doing that exactly right here. That's exactly what I was talking about, is that you're thinking about what they're thinking as they're looking at it, and then you're facilitating the click.
Nice. Okay, so that's some hope for me. So this is
So you
good.
did a good one.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, you did good on that one. Good job. And I
Yeah.
hadn't even seen
Awesome.
this, so I didn't know you were gonna do that. But yeah, that's great.
No, I just I didn't plan for it. I'm just like, oh, let's do it.
So
So then what I've
here
done here is a
you
little
have like
like
a
a,
letter, right? Basically to them.
letter. Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
say adding in a picture would make it feel like it's a real person talking,
Oh
here
yeah,
to
that's a
kind
good
of
one.
warm it up a little bit, and maybe even making it look like a letter, like actually like giving it white and having it like a border and stuff, and like you're really actually writing a letter, and then maybe like even signing it or something, like actually make it visual.
Mm,
The concept is visual before they even read it. They're going to go, "Oh, this is a personalized letter to me," right? And they're going to start to understand it before they start to read it.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, good
And
one.
having a picture of you, this is a real person. I'm really talking to you. This is really a letter I'm writing to you, right? So it's just like visualizing what the concept that you're making here, that you're showing here.
Yeah.
And you could
I'm
even
just
say,
look.
book a call with me. And I don't know if they are talking to you or not, but if they are, then just say, like, let's talk. Like, I'm going to talk to you. And so actually changing the CTA to like, this is me, we're going to talk about this, like that kind of stuff, right? Let me show it to you, let me prove it to you, and we can chat about this, or let's chat about your needs, or something like more. It's an outreach. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So now I've got this bit here, which is, I'm going to be revising this a little bit, but this is an older section. It's kind of like showing services.
So the only thing is when you have things in, well, I don't know, like it's good and bad that you have it in a grid format. When you have it like this, obviously you can fit the most amount of information in the shortest amount of pixels as possible. But when you have it in a grid, sometimes it actually cuts the importance of all the things because you're almost shoving it in one area. So sometimes, and this could go either way, so I'm not like saying definitively on this, but sometimes when we put things in grids, they're like, yep, there's this and this and this. There's lots of cool stuff, whatever. You're not actually like going through, and you're not giving each thing its space. So you could split this out to be more scrolling if you really wanted to make it important and like make it a little heavier. So like lead generation, we could do this, this, and this because of this without this. Like, and so I could see you if you wanted to give these features more weight to actually have them scroll through them. And I don't really necessarily mean one per line. Like you could do 3 per line so that it's a little bit like more hefty, if that makes sense. Instead of just like, cool, we do a lot of stuff and then you just kind of skim over it. So and again, I don't know really the right or wrong answer, but I just wanted to say that because sometimes people will put all the good features in a big grid just for functionality purposes. And then I'm like, well, that's not really telling, that's not making them as important. It's just kind of like, yeah, sure, there's some bells and whistles. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. Yeah. Like, I
So
mean,
if you
the
wanted to
idea.
beef this up a little bit more, you could make it take up more space. Is kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Because then again, like we said, like homepage is the whole purpose of the homepage is help to guide people where they need, where they are looking to
Yeah.
go. So it's like, my thought of this was like, well, let's just make it in there and then put buttons that they click on to then go to a dedicated product page. They can learn more. But what you're saying is, I get it, and I think that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, definitely gonna break that
Yeah,
out.
and not like I said, you don't need to do one per line or anything. You just a little bit more so that it goes in a little bit depth. And also, like a lot of times we'll use this if we're showing like modules in a course, and we'll show like week 1, and then we'll sell it almost 3 ways. We'll say what's included, and then we'll say after this week, this here's the takeaway. Here's the thing that you'll leave with, and then this will replace or without, I don't know. So you have 3 ways to almost sell it. So I could see you, even if you wanted to beef up these sections a little bit more, you could have instead of saying lead generation, you could even say, what are you struggling with, or what do you need fixing? What part of your business is broken? Do you need leads? Do you need your social scheduled for you so that you don't have to keep creating content, like something like that. So do you see, like, it's instead of just saying lead generation, you're actually
Right.
saying pick what you need. Do you need more leads? Do you need content done for you? Do you need your website done, figured out? Do you need your marketing figured out? Like whatever, right? And like obviously say it in a better way, but do you see what I'm saying? So you're focusing on problems that you can solve versus features that you're offering.
Yeah.
That would
No,
be
this
cool.
is all. Yeah, this is all great, and this is kind of like what you said with the buttons as well. So it's like just kind of guiding them,
Yeah.
making it more, relatable. Yeah. Awesome.
And again, it's
Look,
like it's taking the focus off of what you offer and what their problems are. It's like in all of the things where just everything is focusing on them. And so it's really cool because you're like, yes, I have that problem. Because like they're probably going to identify with multiple problems. I have that problem. I got like 5 of these problems, and you can solve all of these. That's great. Versus just tools that I'm going to maybe use or not use.
yeah. Awesome. I mean, I feel a bit bad. I'm picking your brain. As I thought it was like by sharing this, maybe that would
No,
be
it's
helpful to
yeah. I
listeners
mean,
as well.
I think it makes it visual, and everything I've been talking about make more sense. So it totally works.
Yeah. So guys, if you're not, obviously, if you're listening on like an audio version, this is on YouTube, so you can kind of see what we're talking about here. And I'm just using my homepage as a bit of a guinea pig here to go over this. But yeah, so I think we'll stop here. This has been helpful. Thank you so much, Cathy. Let's go back to the interview. What do you see like the most common mistakes people do? And you work with a lot of agencies as well, right?
We
or small?
mostly work with service providers, so but like all kinds of different services, or a lot of times course creators. So we teach people. So like we really have two sides of our business. So the Funnel Gorgeous side is actually teaching people marketing, digital marketing, whether they are like providing a service and they're working with clients one to one, or they are creating offers, digital offers, courses, like group programs, how to put together your offer, how to sell it, how to price it, how to all the way up to building the funnel out, doing ads. So all of that. So it's really like service providers and like people who have digital offers are really our bread and butter as far as like the teaching. And then of course, FG Funnels is the SaaS side. It's the software that houses all the things we teach. So we're really like number one, a teaching company, teaching people how to launch things and sell things. And then secondly, we just have the software that you can get and we give you all the things. So we give templates and we have an amazing in-house customer support. And we give you all the things, as many things as we possibly can to help you launch it as easy as possible. So that's really like the people that we're serving.
Awesome. So that's using HighLevel.
Well, FG Funnels, but yes. We don't like it. We don't really even call it HighLevel because we're not even an affiliate. We don't sell HighLevel direct at all. And so it's funny where I feel like very disconnected from the HighLevel community because we don't make it a like we don't say that we're not HighLevel. Because we've been around since 2020, and so we've been doing this for 5 years. We have an enterprise level version of it where we get direct access to the developers and stuff. So it's a little bit different than white label, but we are really all about this is the FG Funnels ecosystem. We run it like it happens to be powered by HighLevel, but we have our
Yeah.
own customer service team. Like we see us as an extension, right? And so it is funny, like going to the HighLevel events, and I spoke on the main stage at the event and stuff. So it was kind of funny, like people are asking us all this stuff, and we're like, oh, I don't know. Like we don't even really have offers for other HighLevel, providers because we are just direct to consumer in that way. So yeah, kind of interesting.
Yeah. And this is this is really good as an example to see somebody who's not trying to do everything, trying to do the affiliate thing, trying to do the really just trying to focus on your target market and doing it well.
Well,
So
yeah, because
kudos.
we had the business before. So like we had Funnel Gorgeous before. We started Funnel Gorgeous in 2018 specifically. We actually started with a course. And then of course, we had all of our eggs in the ClickFunnels basket. And then even in the beginning of 2020, we got a 2 Comma Club award in the beginning of 2020 before the world shut down. And by the end of 2020, we were launching FG Funnels. So it was a very quick shift. But Julie being on the inside could see the writing on the wall, could see what was happening. And we really were like, okay, this is what we have to do. We have to switch. We have to get off of this platform. It was kind of a sinking ship. We could see it sort of happening. But because we were so early, we were called traitors. We were called all kinds of names. It's unfortunate because we were just one of the first people to do it. But then eventually everyone did it, and then no one is called. They're not called traitors at all. So it's a little sucky that we were one of the first people who had to get the arrows in our backs, but it's fine. We're where we're at now, and we're set, and we're glad we did what we did because we definitely saw it before most people did, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, Russell has amazing education, but I guess now it's the unfortunate thing with the rollout of 2.0 and it didn't quite pan out and all that. So yeah, let's go back to your career. You've had an experience working in magazines, working for a magazine way back. You worked for university doing some of that design as well. How do these past experiences then correlate to the work that you do now? Is that still like the principles that you've applied still work?
Yeah, I think that I specifically have I'm learning all the time about as many things as I possibly can because, and again, even if they're a waste of time, and sometimes they are a waste of time, I learn things and I'm like, I don't do anything with them. But there's so many things that I've learned over the years that I did end up using later. And I definitely use a lot that I learned from like when I was working with really big companies, if anything, just to see how they work and how dialed in they are. Like when I was working with like Disney and Apple and those kind of companies, like they have no deviation. They have huge like Bibles of brand guides of like this is exactly how the dimensions that you use of our logo and like there's numbers that you have to cover keep, there's no deviation whatsoever, like you have to stick to it versus like the total opposite side where there's all these scrappy entrepreneurs that are just throwing up different colors every day and there's no rhyme or reason. So it's like seeing how big companies even do marketing and branding, and they'll spend tons of money just to get their name out, and there's no offers. There's nothing, even they pay now, it's all UGC creators. They're paying people just to talk about their brand, and those people are making the majority of the affiliate revenue, but it's really just to get a customer. Like they had, like acquiring customers and having goodwill and creating a brand is almost so foreign to the digital marketing world. So I think a lot of that stuff's really helpful in kind of what we do, because it's about building, brand advocates, building community. Like I know when I did speak at the high level event, at the level up event, a lot of people were asking me about brand and how do we stand out? We're all selling the same thing. Like, how do we actually stand out? And it's the people, it's the brand building, it's the trust that you're building that really makes a difference, and acting like big brands. So I would say, like, that's the biggest thing that I learned from working with big brands, is about building loyalty and taking care of your people and building advocates that will refer you to people when you're not around. And just, I really love this company and I really love what they're about, and they really take good care of their people. And so it's like not this, not thinking of it on like a macro level where they're like, oh, this offer, I just need to sell them this one offer. No, you need to
Mm.
sell them your entire everything you're about, like your entire reason and all your, like, the things you care about. Like, they need to buy in to who you are as a business, and that's how you build legacy brands. And that's also why all this design stuff matters, so that they can recognize you when they see you again. Right. So you're not just like changing it up all the time, and sometimes it's over designed and sometimes it's under designed, and you're like, wait, what's going on with who is this again? So there's that recognizable piece as well. So I think that's the biggest thing that I learned from working with those big brands, is it's all about the brand. It's not about the individual offers. Whereas I feel like as small businesses, we can get really tied up in the offers and not think about brand, when we got to take a playbook from these billion-dollar companies. There's something they're doing right, and they're not just selling at all costs. There's a lot of times where we do things that don't make monetary sense just because we know that they will sow goodwill and that they will make people come back. Like, just even stuff is like giving refunds or whatever. Someone goes through this whole thing, and should they get a refund? Probably not. But will this person come back, and do they actually like us? Yes. So whatever, give them a refund. Like, who cares? Here, have it back. If you don't feel like you got what your money, have it, because now that's how you build customers for life. And so it's just stuff like that is, I think, my biggest takeaways from my time there, and I think the most important thing that I could say for you guys to take further.
I like it. Yeah, building
Yeah.
that goodwill. Yesterday, I ran a workshop on content or content marketing, like some principles, right? It's about building that trust and
Yeah.
being consistent, creating those touch points, but being relatable and all that. So this all makes total sense. One thing I wonder though is, why is it that, I don't really wonder. I know why, I guess. Small business owners, why do we tend to go straight for the kill, straight for the offers, trying to sell? And I think, a lot of it to do with cash flow. And if we're bootstrapping, we're trying to get the money back, in, so we can
Sure.
continue. Versus those big companies, they got those budgets. So, what's the right approach there? How do you, like, we know this would be really cool, but like, how do we?
Yeah,
What's the sweet
it's
spot?
interesting. I think that it doesn't have to be all or nothing. I think, like, I was talking to someone the other day about how back in the day, these big marketers used to have these launches once a year. They would have this big course they would put out once a year, and they would do one launch, and that was it. And they would make the money one time, and then the rest of the year they would nurture it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I could never. I could never have one offer and just that's the only thing I sell. So that's the ultimate level of restraint, I think, is like nurturing all year long, and you're putting all your eggs into this big multi-million dollar launch, and that's it. Like, that would scare the crap out of me. So we're
Yeah.
not even at that level, right? So we do have offers all the time. And not that we're trying to go for the quick kill, but I think from us, it's more about building the ecosystem, because we have more customers that are return customers than our new customers. So like every time, so we do this program twice a year called Launch Gorgeous. and we launch something together. We launch a funnel together in like anywhere between 6 weeks and 10 weeks, depending on what it is. So sometimes it'll be like a webinar funnel, other times it'll be like a challenge, like we just do different funnels together. The majority of people that join that have already been in one or more. So we are getting more repeats. Like we'll have 75% of people who've already done it before, and then maybe 25% new people. It's something to think about of like, building the ecosystem of offers. So it's not, so yes, you're launching all the time, or yes, you're getting the cash flow consistently, and you're not like feast or famine. You're not like up and down. So we're getting consistent. Like every month, we're very consistent. Like we know pretty much exactly how much we're going to make every month, which is pretty crazy in an industry like ours. We're so stable in that way. That's a really good thing because we have employees and people to pay and all that stuff. But because we're consistently, when we put out offers, pretty much all the people buy them. And so we're kind of consistently going. So yes, we are always going for the sale, but it's more about building out the ecosystem and going deeper with the same people. So it's like we're thinking about, okay, they've learned this. Now, what else do they need to learn? And okay, they've learned this. What else do they need to learn? And I think the same goes with our FG funnel side. Is we're always putting out new, like we just did a whole series on the AI agents and stuff like that, and building out your chatbots. And so we like did a live thing where we built out chatbots with each other. And so it's like deepening the relationship, and then that doesn't make any more money, but that gets people to stay, which reduces churn, which is our FG funnel side is all about reducing churn. Like we don't care about any, of course we do care about getting new customers, but reducing churn is our main focus, right? And so we're like, how do we get people to enrich and use the software and stay and, launch new things? Because we know if they're launching new things and they're making money, then they're going to stay, right? So I don't know that it's like really going in for the quick kill. I think you can have lots of offers, but you just go deeper versus just getting someone one time and then never seeing them again. That's the problem.
Yeah,
That's the hardest way to
that's
market, cost you the most amount of money. So yes, be selling all the time, have cool to stuff, but just be selling to the same people so you don't have to keep reacquiring as you go,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, 2 episodes back, I had Alok Gandhi on, and we talked about like reputation, how reputation is everything. Like we both were under my coach and following his R4 method, which is like reputation first, because reputation fixes everything.
Yeah.
So I'm all like, it's just like a really good confirmation, like what you're saying as well. It's like so important to focus on your customers, focus on reducing churn when you provide ton of value, and they are repeating. Like this is really good ratio. You said like 25% new, but
Yeah.
75% repeat customers going to these workshops. So that just goes to show that they continue to be engaged
Right.
with your brand, with what you offer, and it just creates that bit of a like a tribe that you can feel confident that they are in love with the company and they're not going away. And when it comes to generating new ones, I bet you probably have a really strong affiliate program. No?
It's not like our big focus. It probably should be a better focus. I mean, I do, yes and no. It's not like a big part of our revenue. I think even for FG funnels, we don't have really strong like super affiliates. We more have like partnerships where we'll do like bigger partnerships, or where we'll include it in their programs or something like that. So I think that's like the bigger focus on that side, is because we would rather bring in like the bigger, like the influencer, like the whales that will bring in several little people, versus just because the smaller people, it's really hard for them to get a lot of affiliate revenue unless they're doing their own ads, right? Unless they're spending. And so it's not like the affiliate side, especially with FG funnels, is not super huge. It's really more about the partnerships, I think, from that side. But yeah, it really is about, because if you think about it, when you build out that back end ecosystem of people returning, then all of your efforts are amplified, because when you do get the new 25% in, now they are going to stay and they are going to buy more. So it even makes you able to spend more in the front end, because the lifetime value is much higher than a normal person, because they're going to stay. So it's a good investment on both sides, on new and old, I guess, right?
And if those new people show up to a community that's highly engaged, then it's
Yeah,
like
they're
it's just that
staying.
role of
Yeah.
yeah,
They're most likely to stay, keep learning, and because there's so much to do. Yeah.
yeah. So reputation wins across so many levels, and like you said, you can actually outcompete your competition on
Hmm.
cost of acquisition. You can afford to pay more. So yeah, brilliant. Tell us about OfferCure. When you booked in, you told me you got this thing called OfferCure, which is kind of like why. got you to like check out my homepage. I thought like that would be a good segue. What is it, and like why should the guys know about it?
Yeah, so Offer Cure is probably our most viral course that we've ever created. It's the one I think that everyone needs to buy. It's like the where we tell people to start. Super duper inexpensive, but really powerful. It's basically like you could build an offer in a weekend. And it's all about creating irresistible offer and like thinking about kind of everything we talked about today, like a little bit like about the container, what the pricing should be, what you should include, what to call it. It's really about offer creation and making it as irresistible as possible. So thinking about it from their perspective and being able to really get that piece, because we really say there's three things that you need to create something that kind of takes off without you, like that you almost it's like you put a jetpack on it and it just goes off. Number one is offer. Like you really can't. I mean, you technically you can, but you're going to have a huge handicap if you don't have a really good offer. So number one importance is offer. And then the copy, super duper important, like really important. Unless they trust you and know you and like you, if they're anywhere near cold, if you don't have good copy, forget about it. And then design,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, for all the reasons we talked about today. So like those are, if you have two of those things, you're still going to be doing well. But if you're missing one, if you get the one you're missing, your conversion rates are going to go crazy. So if you have really good copy and really good design but not a great offer, it needs to be fixed, you need to fix your offer and then you'll be good. It's like the way to make everything bulletproof. Again, if you have a good offer and great design but the copy's not really great, that's the thing you're missing. And if you have really good offer and you have a really good copy but you're missing out on design, that's the thing you want to focus on. So but Offer Cure is that first piece of really creating something irresistible to the person that you want to sell and making your offer just sell like crazy.
Because then when you do that, then you can reverse engineer the whole funnel to drive through the CTAs all the way to that core offer. Do
Yeah.
you find like so you mentioned like 3 years, like either your offer or your copy or your design.
Mhm.
Is that do you find like one of them is like a least important, like a less important than the other two, or is like one particular one or is it like kind of equal?
That's actually a really good question. I would say it depends on who you're selling to, because design can be really important for certain types, for people who care about design. It kind of almost depends on what kind of buyer they are. So there's like a lot of times people will show me funnels that have no design and they're like, this converted at whatever 50%. And I'm like, but who were you selling it to? You were selling it to people who didn't give two craps about design and just needed their things fixed and whatever. And like you sold despite the design, not because of the lack of design. That person just didn't care. So, but if you were to have great design, think of how much better it's not like it's doing well because it's not designed, right? So I think people look at causation and they just say, oh, since it sold really well, I don't need design. But no, it's because of who you sold it to. And trust me, it would still sell better if you had good design. Like, because the person's not going to not buy it if it has good design. But the people who care about design and care about trust, and when they see design, they're not going to buy it. So you're missing a whole segment. Versus the same thing, right? Like if you're going after people who really care about looks and really want professionalism, and they're not going to buy anything that looks like janky, right? Or just like it was just created by an amateur. They don't care what you say in it. They don't care what the offer is. They don't trust you. So if you're selling to the people who are really care about looks and the feel and how it like is presented, you have to have design. So again, I don't know that. And then again, I guess offer would be not important if they really trusted you and you've sold them in person and they just buy whatever you put out because they just love you, right? So like offer's not going to matter. So yeah, I do think it just depends on who you're selling and what you're selling to, which would be the least important. But again, if you wanted to sell it to the most amount of people you possibly can, have all three, and then you're going to hit all the kinds of people, all the kinds of buyers.
So I've actually found a couple of really cool websites lately. Been looking at, I don't know how I got to that, but it was like super advanced, like design, like tech, the elements, visual, really, I don't know. It's like those really big brand agencies, those multi-billion-dollar brand agencies that got those really fancy websites. Something really different like that. You look at those and it's like, wow, this is that's a whole another level. Like I mean, you look at Apple, like how they design their product pages for
Yeah.
iPhones. Like it's like a whole experience. It's
Yeah, how they got the cool parallax scrolling and all that stuff. And that's because people buy those products based on what they look like. Like Apple wouldn't do well if their computers and their phones and all their things were ugly. They're all about design. So it's expected for them to be top of the line. So again, that's their number one thing is they care. Of course, they care about functionality, but even when you open the package and it has that special smell and you open it and there's cool things to pull and it's just all of that stuff is designed because it's an experience, and those are people who care about the experience and they care about the way it looks, right? So again, you have to think about who you're selling to.
Yeah. So, guys, just to recap, if your funnel's underperforming, chances are it's not the funnel, it's the offer. Cathy's offer cure is all about helping you fix that, dialing in your positioning, pricing, messaging, design, copywriting, all that, so that your audience actually wants to buy. Think of it like an ER visit for your offer. With Offer Cure, Cathy and her team walk you through the exact process to turn a confusing meh offer into something irresistible. So to learn more about that, we put together a little link, guys. So head over to highlevelexperience.com/FG and you learn everything you need to know about that and take it further from there. Cathy, we are getting towards the end of the podcast. I've got a couple of rapid fire questions for you. They're
Oh, I
related
hate
to
these.
you do?
Whenever someone has these at the end of a podcast, I always feel like I can't think of anything. So we'll see. We'll see how I do. But if I do terrible at this, it's because I'm not good on the spot.
You get that you get. So these ones here are like related to high level. What about high level originally grabbed your attention? Was there like something specific or a problem you were trying to solve?
Well, they reached out to us and they
Ah,
kind of wined and dined us. Honestly, yeah, the founders actually reached out to us and they loved our the whole Funnel Gorgeous community, and they sold us on it. So I don't know that we really looked into it too much more than they actually reached out to us. So it was kind of a weird situation. But the reason we stay is it's just the gold standard. It's updated faster than anything I've ever seen. They really listen to the users and what they're looking for. We've even been a part of a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. They pick our brains and see how people are using it. They're asking us all kinds of questions on what to create and how they should create it. So we love having a big say in what's being created and how it's being created. So I think that's why we stay, is we get taken really good care of, and they really care about how people are using the tool and making it the best it can possibly be.
I love it. Is there like a one particular feature that lately you really enjoyed like using in high level?
I mean, it's always the builder, because like that's pretty much the only thing that our tech team kind of does. I actually admittedly don't know how to use the full tool, which is embarrassing a lot of the times when people ask me things and I'm like, I'm going to have to check with the team on that because I'm just in the builder all day long. So every time they add something that makes my design life easier where I don't have to add CSS, I love. So when they add where I can add in mobile padding, I mean, I was obsessed with that. When they added in the gradients, the SVG was actually our idea. They didn't have SVGs and we told them to put SVGs in. So when they do stuff that helps the designer create a better experience, I'm like all about it. I get really excited when they do new things in the builder for sure.
Definitely, they got to bring that middle link though. The tablet is missing. That's like always
Yes.
like
Oh
the
yeah.
transition it gets ugly. I haven't figured out a way to do it other than CSS. So,
Yeah.
but what do you wish you had known when you started your? I guess you're more of a SaaSpreneur, I would say, than an agency, aren't you?
Yeah, we don't do one-to-one work, so I would say we're not an agency at all. We're definitely SaaS.
What do you wish you had known now that you've had experience over the years running this
Mm.
business? Is that like one thing you wish, like, oh, if I knew that, I would have avoided these particular big mistakes that we had, for
Oh
example?
man, I don't even know that I know of mistakes. I just can think of things that we did right because Julie's really good at seeing the future. And so things that I wouldn't have chosen that she's done is number one, we were honest about that it was on high level right in the beginning, whereas a lot of people were pretending it wasn't high level. So like I probably would have pretended it wasn't high level. And so that was really good because eventually everyone figured it out in high level, and now we actually use it to our advantage. So we say this is backed by the gold standard. Like this is on HighLevel, the one that you know and love already. And now it's just going to be HighLevel Plus. When you use FG funnels, we're going to make it even better. You're going to get better, more boutique support. You're going to get all the resources, right? So that part, it wasn't a mistake we made, but we could have made it if it was up to me. And then I think the other thing that she's seen in advance that I didn't realize was just thinking about churn, like 100%. And she knew from being a VP of marketing at ClickFunnels all about how it works, and it's all about churn. And we're always, basically every month we're just going to net positive. So even if we're net positive 5 users, that's a good month. As long as we are net positive, that's like our numbers, and we track our numbers very closely. And we're looking at it pretty much on a weekly basis, but we check all of our stats and all of our analytics all the time to see if things are dipping, if our opt-ins are dipping, then we're putting out new creative. So like paying attention to the numbers, especially churn, but all of the numbers really was something that we did like really well. That again, I would have made that mistake. So we didn't make a mistake, but I would have done it because I'm all, a designing person. But knowing those numbers really helps you make much better decisions. And then again, you can reverse engineer, well, okay, if we need to improve this, what number is showing us that what we need to improve versus just guessing on what we need to improve. That's really helpful.
Yeah, no, this is a really good reminder. Yeah, checking numbers.
It's not the
No, this is
funnest thing in
perfect.
the world, but yeah, but even reverse engineering it. So like the numbers will tell you a story, and then you know what to change. If you know what the benchmarks should be, and you know what the numbers should be, and you know what your benchmarks are, because even if it's a benchmark but it's worse than you usually do, then you can kind of, start to figure out what needs to change and start testing things and, split testing and all that stuff. But yeah, the numbers are so important.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Cathy, tell me something that's true that almost nobody agrees with you on.
Ooh, oh my gosh. Well, I would say something about design, but you agree with that. So something that's true. Okay. This is something that's true that I don't wish it was true. So I'm going to change the question a little bit because
Yeah,
I wish it
go ahead.
weren't true. I just did this talk a few weeks ago on this like big design summit, but I wish that being unique and different was the thing that like sold really well, right? I wish it was the thing that people cared about, like that people bought uniqueness, but it's not. And so I have to come to grips with that sometimes. And I have like sometimes I'll design things that are crazy and look really cool, but people are like, "Whoa, I don't this is weird. I don't like it." And then you'll have to like make it normal in order for it to sell. So I wish that weren't true. That's something I wish that weren't true, but it's a truth that I'm having to come to grips with. And it's just interesting. Like people do want to feel safe, and they don't want to do the things that are like crazy new and crazy different that they're not used to. So there's like a level of, yes, you can be a little bit different, but not too different, because that scares people off. So I wish that weren't true, but I wish it, yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah, what a topic. Yeah, we could definitely unpack that because it's
Yeah,
like,
I had a whole talk on it
yeah,
basically of like, you'd think that people would think, rainbow hair is cool, but I actually scare a lot of people off. So in our ads, I get people that love me and people that hate me and say, I would never hire someone with that crazy hair. And there's other people that love it. So you would think that people love uniqueness, but not always. Not always does it sell. So it's interesting thing to learn.
but on the flip side as well, you know, don't be afraid to be unique because there's always going to be people who will relate to that.
Yes.
Right? Like if you're wearing a blue baseball cap, there's going to be other people in the world that like to wear a blue baseball cap. So
Yeah.
I guess it's important to highlight that it's just, you're not going to please everybody. That's granted. And more different, polarizing or different. And then nobody had
Just like
division in the
anything,
world is
it's
a
a
good example.
balance. It's a balance. I
It's a
think
balance. Yeah.
you want to be different enough to get their attention, but not so different that they get scared off. So it's a good balance, but it is something for me especially, I love things that are different and unique, and I have to understand that not everyone feels that way. So I just have to make it palatable, different enough, but also so they still feel like you can help them and it's safe and it's not like, ooh, you don't want to turn people off. So as anything, you got to balance it, make sure it's not too much or too little, just right.
Yeah, brilliant. Cathy, we're at the end. Thank you so much for being here. Now would be a good time for you to share like a last piece of advice that you'd like the listeners to walk away with from today's interview.
Oh Oh man. Okay, so like what's the last piece of advice I want them to know?
Yeah, well, let's make it more simple. Like, if there's like one thing for the guys to take action on, because we covered a lot about design, different concepts, different
Yeah.
principles, and I bet you there's going to be some that are like, so where do I start? Like, I'm overwhelmed. There's a lot of information. Where would I, how do I apply that? What would be like the easiest one to apply?
Yeah, I would
The
actually take
principle
it
or
back to what we said in the beginning and start like once you see this like almost third dimension of thinking about offer copy and design, you can't unsee it. And so I would actually just as a first step start looking and paying attention to how the people who are successful are doing it and actually starting to dissect why and kind of understand the rhyme or reason behind it. Because again, I think if you can start to train your eye into seeing what is good design, what's good copy, what's a good offer, then you will automatically start doing it. So yes, learn it. Yes, take the courses, but you almost just have to train your marketing brain. And if you haven't been looking at design or you haven't been looking at copy or if you haven't been looking at offers, start looking at it and start like researching what went into it. And that's going to make you better. Like automatically, you're going to start to turn into that person because you'll be able to see your offers with these brand new eyes. You can't unsee it once you see it. So that's the first thing I would say is be open to these things, be paying attention to them, and even taking notes on what people did and not just blindly copying things because that's actually the wrong thing to do because they might have a different audience, they might have a different brand, so you don't blindly, but you just start to train your eye and see why people did the things that they did and start thinking about it from your customer's perspective. And I think that's the best and most powerful thing you can do from now all the way onward.
brilliant. And with that, let's end it. Cathy, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your wisdom,
Thank you for
your
having me.
experience. It's been a pleasure, and I've learned a lot listening to you. And I hope that you guys listening have been taking notes and are going to apply.
Awesome. Now you're going to go update your website, right?
That's definitely going to be one of the things on my to-do list for
Well,
sure.
let me know if
Yeah.
you need any more help or if you need any
I
clarification.
will.
But yeah, it was fun. Thanks so much for having me.
Awesome. Guys, thank you so much for listening to today's episode on HighLevel Experience. If you enjoyed today's episode, then please share it with your fellow agency mates and other high-levelers that you think would benefit from listening. For show notes, links, and extra tips to help you grow your agency or your SaaS with HighLevel, please go to highlevelexperience.com. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day, everybody.